context of chemical fertilizers, it was developed due to the lack of plant nutrients and declining agricultural yields. In the year 1840, there was a person who studied how to solve it. Justus von Liebig, who is one of the experts in science, came up with a technique to increase the yield in the agriculture, and with the help of technology, it was quickly announced to the world. Chemical fertilizers were developed to enhance and expedite the growth of crops in agriculture. By using chemical fertilizer, the essential nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium needed for the proper development and production of plants can be supplied. The use of chemical fertilizer provides a way to improve the quality and quantity to harvest in agriculture, addressing food shortages and increase agricultural production. The impact of chemical fertilizer in the Philippines spans across various dimensions, including science, culture, environment, and in the system. The first is the impact in science. The chemical fertilizers have influenced agricultural science by boosting crop yields. However, over-reliance on chemical fertilizer has led to issues like soil degradation and nutrient imbalance, affecting long-term agricultural sustainability. The use of chemical fertilizer has driven research in agronomy, soil science, and plant nutrition to optimize crop production. This has led to advancement in fertilizer technology and nutrient management practices. Excessive use of chemical fertilizer may have health implications due to contamination of water sources and food products, highlighting the importance of scientific research on the safety and sustainability of fertilizer use. The second is the impact in culture. Chemical fertilizers have altered traditional farming practices in the Philippines. The transition to chemical fertilizer from organic methods has impacted cultural practices related to the adaptation of chemical fertilizer, has influenced economic activities and livelihoods in rural communities, shaping cultural norms and practices related to farming and food production. The third is the impact in environment. The excessive use of chemical fertilizer has contributed to soil degradation, nutrient imbalances, and decreased soil fertility. This has negative environmental consequences affecting ecosystem health and biodiversity. Runoff from chemical fertilizer can lead to water pollution, contaminating rivers, lakes, and aquifers. This pollution can harm aquatic life and impact human health, highlighting the environmental cost of fertilizer use. The fourth is the impact in systems. It is the impact about government. The chemical fertilizers in the Philippines underscores the need for effective agricultural policies and governance. Balancing agricultural productivity with environmental sustainability requires a systematic approach that integrates scientific research, cultural considerations, and environmental protection. There is a growing recognition to the importance of maximized fertilizers. Sustainable agriculture involves systematic changes in farming methods, policy, frameworks, and community engagement to promote environmental stewardship and long-term food security. The use of chemical fertilizer in the Philippines has multifaceted impacts in science, culture, environment, and the agricultural system. Balancing the benefits of chemical fertilizer with the need for sustainable agricultural practices is crucial for ensuring food security, environmental protection, and the well-being of communities in the Philippines.
This fertilizer provides precise dust of essential nutrients to crops, optimizing yields and promoting plant growth. Their developments showcase the synergy between scientific knowledge and technological advancement, driving agricultural productivity to new heights, yet their application necessitate careful monitoring and mitigate potential environmental impact, highlighting the ongoing need for the scientific research and technological solution in the sustainable agriculture. The foreground context and background context of chemical fertilizer. First is the research and development. Science and technology are employed the research and development of new fertilizer. These include studying soil composition, plant nutrients requirements, and chemical reaction to create formulation that optimize plant growth and yield. The secondly, nutrients and formulation. Science help in understanding the nutritional needs of various crops and how different nutrients affect their growth. By utilizing their knowledge, fertilizer formulation can be tailored to provide the optimal mix of the nutrient for specific crops and soil types and environmental conditions. Number 3, and efficiency and precision. Technological advancements such as precision agriculture and remote sensing technology allow farmers to apply fertilizer more efficiently and precisely. This reduces wastage, minimize environmental impact, and ensure that crops receive the nutrients they need to the right time and the right amount. The cause and precipitating of chemical fertilizer is in the immediate social system, lies in the pursuit of increased agricultural productivity to meet growing food demands as population burgeoning and urbanization accelerated. Traditional farming methods struggle to sustainably feed burgeoning population. Chemical fertilizers emerge as a solution promoting higher yields and greater efficiency. However, their widespread adoption lead to the shift in social dynamics within the rural communities, altering the traditional farming practices, land ownership patterns, and labor requirements. This transition impacted social structure as well as a cultural and economic dynamic, often leading to both opportunities and challenge the community's reliance agriculture for their livelihoods. The consequence of the immediate social system in chemical fertilizers is health risk. Prolonged exposure to chemical fertilizer or their reduce can pose health risk to farmers, agricultural workers, and nearby communities. This includes respiratory issues, skin irritations, and potentially more severe conditions from long-term exposure. The secondly is the environmental degradation. Chemical fertilizer can contribute to soil degradation, water population, and loss of biodiversity. This can have significant social implications, including reduced access to clean water, loss of natural resources, and displacement of communities reliant on agriculture. The enabling causes of chemical fertilizer within the cultural and environmental systems are multifaceted and interconnected. Here are the some causes and factors. The first is technological advancement. The development of chemical fertilizer was essentially driven by advancement in chemistry and agricultural science. This innovation enabled the synthesis of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, compounds that could be used to supplement soil and nutrients, thereby increasing agricultural productivity. The adoption of chemical fertilizer was facilitated by their perceived effectiveness in boosting crop yields, meeting growing end demands. The enable costs of chemical fertilizers within the cultural environmental system are multifaceted and interconnected. Here are some key factors. Firstly, the technological advancement. The development of chemical fertilizer was initially driven to advancement in chemistry and agricultural science. This innovation enabled the synthesis of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, compounds that could be used to supplement soil nutrients and thereby increasing agricultural productivity. The adoption of chemical fertilizer was facilitated by their perceived effectiveness in boosting crop yields, meeting the growing demand?
The macro context, the foreground and background. First, we discuss the foreground. The immediate social system, ISS, in the development of the fertilizer in the Philippines are influenced by broader factors. These are, first, the government policies and regulations. The Philippines government plays a significant role in shaping the development of the fertilizers industry through policies and regulations. They establish guidelines for fertilizer production, distribution, and use, as well as provide support through subsidized incentives and agricultural programs. Second one, we have the international trade and global market. The global market for fertilizers impacts the development of the industry in the Philippines. Trade agreements, import and export policies, and the market competition influence the availability, pricing, and quality of fertilizers in the country. International research and technological advancements also influence local fertilizers development. The third is international aid and organizations. International aid and agricultural organizations contribute to the development of the fertilizers industry through knowledge sharing, capacity building, and financial support. These organizations provide assistance in areas such as research and development, sustainable farming practices, and access to fertilizers for small-scale farmers. Last is the population factor. Philippines had a large number of population, and this driven the government, especially the agricultural department, to do something to solve the problem of food shortage. Therefore, the development of fertilizer is something encouraged and needed in the country. The cause is the government. ISS is the government to answer to the need of food sustainability of the country, the food shortage that the country is facing, and also the economic of the country. And the first order is to cooperate with a larger organization in industry of the fertilizer to find the scientists and those who expert in the field to do the research and learn from other countries. Now we shall look into the background or CES. In the development of the fertilizers in the Philippines, it refers to cultural, societal, and environmental factors that shape and influence the fertilizer industry in the country. These factors play a significant role in determining the practices, attitudes, and behaviors related to fertilizer production, distribution, and use. Here are some elements of the background or CES in the fertilizer development in the Philippines. First, agricultural tradition. The Philippines has a rich agricultural tradition deeply rooted in its cultural heritage. The CES reflects the importance of agriculture as a significant sector of the economy and the cultural value placed on farming and cultivation practices. Second, the knowledge and the traditional farming practices. The traditional farming practices and indigenous knowledge systems have influenced the use of fertilizers in the Philippines. Local farmers often pass down the traditional technique and practices to incorporate organic materials and natural inputs to enhance soil fertility. Third is economic factors and market demand. The economic considerations, market demand, and customer preferences influence the development of adaptation of fertilizers in the Philippines. And CES takes into account market dynamics, pricing, and overall economic availability of the fertilizers industry. And for the cause of CES is that the historical cultural itself, the people who were farmers before, they are now the children of those farmers, and they will teach their children to follow what they were doing. And that is the cause of the cultural itself. People is rooted in what they were doing. And the first order for the development is that the later generation develop the techniques to enhance the fertility of the soil, and it will get better